Welcome everybody to another live edition of our roundtable right here in our studios from Inside Out. I'm your host, Jay. Thank you guys so much for being here. And again, I appreciate every single one of you that show up to these shows every week, day in and day out. I appreciate it, guys. Let's go ahead and get in the chat real quick and say hi to Curtis. He's in here. He gets in here and says this real quick for everybody. Hello, my friend. Absolutely. Hey, how's it going, Curtis? Again, thank you so much for being here, and I hope you're doing good over there in Kansas. Good to see you anyways, nonetheless. All right, and we also got Texas Mom. How you doing, Texas Mom? Good to see you, and thank you so much for being here too, always. It's just an awesome thing to see everybody in here week after week. This is awesome. Great support, nonetheless. Love and respect every single one of you. All right, and we also have, for right now anyways, of course, it takes a while for other people to get involved, but anyways, we have Vicky Bailey in here. What's going on, Vicky? How you doing? Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it, as always. And again, I'm hoping you're doing good over there in your neck of the woods. Nonetheless, prayers and all of that are still coming your way. Good to see you, Vicky. All right, as you guys know, we have a interesting and I would consider it controversial podcast for you guys. And this one is an interesting one to say the least. And of course, I try to I try to keep the drama away from this podcast as much as possible. But hey, some of these things they make it across my desk, and I got to speak about it. So we are doing what we can when it comes to that, anyways. And we're going to tear into the details about this case and all the facts, if you will, up on the screen here later tonight. So I hope you guys appreciate it. With that, I want to give you guys an update real quick before I lose the thought on it. As you guys know, my location's out here in Florida. That's where I'm currently at. And if you guys have been paying attention to the news, unfortunately, we have a pretty big-ass monster stirring and brewing out there in the Gulf of Mexico right now as I speak. It will soon be a Category 2, and by the time it reaches land, it's supposed to be a Category 4. But anyways, more on that in just a second. Please welcome our co-host, Tammy, to the show. Welcome, Tammy. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing good. Just sitting here, living in paradise, if you get my drift. As you know, we got a major storm. If you've been paying attention, I was just hitting on that real quick before we get into the details of this podcast about Hurricane Helene. And how close of a shave it is in my neck of the woods. So I'm just updating everybody on that. But
yes, I'm watching it big time.
It's
all of you guys there. I have a lot of friends that are like family.
It's a monster, guys, if you haven't been paying attention, and it's going to be a Cat 4 by the time it gets land, from what I've been told. So we're watching it, and of course, it's a very close shave where I live. Unfortunately, with God's grace and whatnot, it's not going to hit us. We're going to get some rain and we're going to get some wind, but we're on what they call the clean side, if you will, of this massive hurricane. But it's going to go right over the what they call the major bend, or the bend there here in Florida. So it's going to hit Tallahassee and all that really hard. So please pray for everybody that we make it through this and nothing happens. With that said, let's go ahead and put your comment, Tammy, up there real quick. You said this: hi, everyone, and sending love and light to all. Yeah, absolutely. We definitely can need it with all the stuff that's going down. But anyways, Tammy, before we get in there, I got a question for you, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So what do you think, and what's your take? I always have to ask you this. I got to get your take on this. What's your take on this information of this interesting dilemma with this sheriff and this judge?
Well, okay. So I don't want to be a spoiler alert, so I'm not going to spoil it for all of you guys. But I did find a last minute dive this afternoon after I got off of work. I found a video testimony basically of he's speaking. It's a court clerk, and he's going to give us all a lot of insight, little deeper insight onto some of what went down. I doubt we are going to get past all the rumors and crap, which I believe
Yeah.
a lot of it is crap.
Yeah, there's a lot of gaga rumors going around, but go ahead.
It's really weird, but so my thing is, for what my understanding, just to lay a little background, the town is 1,700 people. They are the county seat for that area, meaning that all the county stuff comes there. They are the county that everything goes to. But this sheriff was the bailiff for this judge that he shot.
Imagine that.
And then he passed the torch to a deputy who then became a bailiff. And he did some very terrible things to two women that they know of. There may be more. Who knows?
Wow.
One is deceased now. We don't know why. I cannot get an answer to that. I'm feeling like that will come out in the wash too. But the one that's alive, she is hi Curtis. They anyway, the one that the deputy pled guilty, as we'll go over in some of the articles and stuff like whatnot. But this deputy that stepped in after the first bailiff became sheriff, committed some acts inside of the judge's chambers over a 6-month period. And he pled guilty to it, and he's serving prison time right now. So
talk about a major conflict of interest.
Well,
Go ahead.
The federal courts have a lawsuit against the county, of course, and the sheriff, because they said he didn't do enough oversight to train the deputy properly and whatnot, is the allegations in there.
Curtis said what state? Curtis said what state?
This is in Kentucky, guys. This occurred in an Appalachian town in Kentucky. They're all close-knit.
Deep South.
The prosecutor had to recuse himself from it because he and the judge married sisters. So one judge was married to one woman. The judge was married to one woman, the prosecutor to another, and they happened to be sisters. So their kids grew up, their first cousins, and they grew up together. So he he did the right thing, and he recused himself from the case, okay, so this is a big key point, and you're going to hear it later on too as well. The judge and the sheriff were friends. Everybody in the courthouse pretty much friends. Prosecutors, attorneys, all that. They both were looked very highly regarded, very honorable, both the sheriff and the judge, because people that would come into the courtroom or get in the system, even through just getting arrested, the sheriff and the judge both had a way of, they were more about rehabilitation than incarceration. So they would actually offer treatment versus mental health treatment and things like that versus prison time and jail time. So the sheriff actually took people to treatment centers.
Wow.
To get them help. So this had to be something very major.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Very major. It's just really crazy, but I have a feeling we're not going to find out the truth of it until it goes to court.
Yeah, just like everything else that's going on right now, we're not going to know what the truth is on a lot of major things that are going on right now in this country. I mean, not to switch gears here deliberately, guys, and for everybody in the chat, and you, Tammy, real quick before we get into the data, the P. Diddy case is really starting. Like I said, this is just the tip of the iceberg, and then this is a major can of worms that just been opened. And some major other big players, if you will, are now in the mix of this. It's getting worse and worse.
We may have to revisit that one on Friday because there's a lot of
We're talking Usher
two Sony Records executives
yeah, everybody's deleting their
resigned. The head
yeah,
of Nike resigned. We're
yeah.
starting to see major people. They're naming athletes. They're naming, like we said,
Will
it's going to pull
Smith.
it all out, and they're connecting the dots between Epstein and
Oh, I know it's getting bad.
P. Diddy. It's going to pull it all out, but I don't know. I think this is just the year of all. You got it right. Corruption. I agree.
Absolutely.
And I think it's just going to all come out. Curtis, Vicky, all of you, we've all talked about it, and
this is like I said, this is the year, if not possibly the last few months of truth, and I think it's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, well, and I don't like to get too religious because I think that's a personal thing, but where there's darkness, there's always light.
Absolutely.
And God will get to the truth of the matter.
Yeah, absolutely.
Follow the money. I agree. I agree, Curtis. That's what
absolutely. That's right.
money.
That's all you can do is follow it, and you'll find your answers. Follow the money, and you'll see your corruption.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Absolutely, guys. All right. Well, which one did you want me to do first for tonight, data wise, Tammy?
Okay,
did you want me to do
it? I'm going to pull it.
All right.
I'll tell you which one.
So, ladies and gentlemen, the information before we go any further, guys, here tonight on this podcast with this story, all information regarding this data and other important information regarding this case is in the description of this video tonight, guys. So, again, feel free to click it on your own leisure and check it out if I didn't do something or miss something in this. With that, though, again, all credit goes to everybody that put this on. And again, some credit goes to Tammy for finding it and helping me find this data. But anyways, let's go ahead and get into now the share screen and show.
This one's the CBS News one. The Kentucky sheriff who allegedly killed judge faced allegations of ignoring deputies' abuse of women in his chambers.
We'll do that. We'll do that right now. Here it is, guys. On your guys' screen, as you guys can see, I hope you guys can see it. Let me know in the chat if you can, or not. All right. This is the headline. Kentucky sheriff who allegedly killed judge faced allegations of ignoring deputies' abuse of women in his chambers. Imagine that, guys. Talk about, I guess you can say inside job, major amount of corruption, major just behind the stuff that doesn't come to no surprise to me. But anyways, let's go ahead and get into the story. Here it is. Did you want to read this off, Tammy?
It's up to you. It's a lot of information. I can. If I get to going too fast, somebody in the chat yell at me, and Jay, let us know.
No, you're good. But I'll go ahead and highlight the first part here for you, and that way, that way we can go ahead and do paragraph by paragraph. Go ahead, Tammy. The floor is yours.
Yeah, because we're going to have to with this one. The sheriff who allegedly shot and killed a rural Kentucky judge in his courthouse chambers was accused in a federal lawsuit of failing to investigate allegations that one of his deputies repeatedly SA'd a woman in the same judge's chambers. Letcher County Sheriff Sean M. Steins has been charged with unaliving in the first degree in Thursday's shooting. I guess I should have said pew probably. The preliminary investigation indicates that Steins 43 pew-pewed district judge Kevin Mullins multiple times, 8 times, guys, 8 times. That's what I found out today.
That's overkill.
Following an argument inside the courthouse, according to the Kentucky State Police. Mullins, 54, who held the judgeship for 15 years, unalived at the scene, and Stein surrendered without incident. Just what the two men were arguing about wasn't immediately made clear. We know that it was an argument between the two that led up, but what exactly transpired prior to the pew-pews being, that's still things that we're trying to get answers to. Kentucky State Police Trooper Matt Gayhart told reporters Thursday night. Gayhart called the shooting an isolated incident. This is actually the judge you'll see here in a minute, I believe. Steins was deposed on Monday in a lawsuit filed by two women. So a deposition is where they go in and they ask questions and put it down legally. So he was deposed Monday in a lawsuit filed by the two women, one of whom alleged that the deputy forced her to have inside Mullins chambers for 6 months in exchange for staying out of jail. The lawsuit accuses the sheriff of deliberate indifference in failing to adequately train and supervise the deputy. The now former deputy sheriff, Ben Fields, pled guilty to RAing the female prisoner while she was on home incarceration. Fields was sentenced this year to, this kills me, I was so mad, 6 months in jail and then 6.5 years on probation for SOD. Y'all can look these up.
Yep.
Perjury and tampering with a prisoner's monitoring device.
Wow.
The Mountain Eagle reported 3 charges related to a second woman were dismissed because she is now unalived. Steins fired Fields, who was his successor as Mullins bailiff, for conduct unbecoming after the lawsuit was filed in 2022. The Courier-Journal reported at the time, the unaliving of the judge sent shockwaves through the tight-knit Appalachian town. Whitesburg is the county seat of government with about 1,700 residents, located about 145 miles southeast of Lexington. Rather than hold the sheriff in the local jail, authorities booked Steins into the Leslie County Detention Center, 2 counties away, where he remained Friday morning. This is last Friday, guys. Lee County Prosecutor Matt Butler described an outpouring of sympathy as he recused himself in his office, his whole entire office, from investigation, citing social and family ties to Mullen. We all know each other here. Anyone from Letcher County would tell you that Judge Mullins and I married sisters, that we have children who are first cousins but act like siblings. Butler said in a statement from his office, for that reason, among others, I have already taken steps to recuse myself and my entire office. Kentucky Attorney General Russell Coleman said his office would collaborate with the Commonwealth's attorney in the region as a special prosecutors in the criminal case. Mullins was hit multiple times in the Pew Pew, state police said. We will fully investigate and pursue justice, Coleman said on a social media site, I'm sure. Kentucky Supreme Court Chief Justice Lawrence B. Van Meter said he was shocked by this act of violence and that the court system was shaken by this news. Letcher County's judge executive closed the county courthouse on Friday. It was unclear whether Steins had an attorney. State police referred inquiries to a spokesperson who did not immediately respond by email. There's far too much violence in this world, and I pray there is a path to a better tomorrow, Governor Andy Beshear posted in response to the shooting. Yeah, because he was the one that appointed the judge to that seat, and he got elected.
Wow.
He was an elected official. Mullins served as a district judge in Letcher County since he was appointed by former Governor Steve Beshear. Andy Beshear is the son of Steve, in 2009 and elected the following year.
Imagine that.
So that's the first one.
Okay. Did you want me to do the other scene?
We probably need to do the others because it just has to wrap itself all the way around. This
one, it's right here. There's a video. Kentucky sheriff accused of killing judge pleads not guilty. Right here.
Yes, that's the one I want you to play. If you'll play the video on that one.
Yeah, I can play it real quick.
Go read the article.
Okay. So again, guys, all credit. If I didn't mention it verbally, I should have did it in the first one. But again, guys, real quick, all credit goes to WLKY It's a news station out of Kentucky, Louisville, Kentucky. Again, all credit goes to them for putting this on, including the other article that we just got done
Well, it's
reading.
put on by CBS. So
Yeah.
all credit goes to them, CBS.
Okay, so with that, let's go ahead and play this video, guys, for your guys' viewing. And of course, put any comments, questions, and whatnot you have in the comments. All right, let's go ahead and play this.
Since 1970, Cedar Lake has sought to enrich the lives of individuals.
Of course, we got to let the sponsors get their little.
District
Mhm.
Court. Is the Commonwealth present?
Yes, Your Honor. Good morning, Judge Ramsey Dallin on behalf of the Commonwealth.
And Jackie Steele also on behalf of Commonwealth.
All right, thank you. And I see the defendant. Is that the defendant at the Leslie County Detention Center?
Yes, Your Honor.
And who is standing next to him?
I'm Josh Miller, public defender at the Capital Trials Branch.
David Clark, jailer, Leslie County.
All right, thank you. And has the defendant filed a petition for indigency?
Not at this point, Your Honor.
Okay.
And
what about the Commonwealth? Does Commonwealth want to make any statements before I proceed with the arraignment?
No, Your Honor. Other than I don't know why Mr. Miller is present. He's not filed out any paperwork. His office has not been appointed. I don't know that he has any reason to be here as in an official capacity as an attorney.
Right. Mr. Miller, do you believe that he's entitled to a public defender at this time?
I do, Your Honor.
And why is that?
This is a capital eligible case, and I believe that the cost of defending ethical defense of a capital eligible case will exceed his means.
Would you like to respond to that, Mr. Steele?
I would, Your Honor. A couple of things. One, I believe what he's telling me is that he's been out soliciting a client, which is obviously not allowed under our ethical obligations as attorneys. Two, even if he hasn't, and he's been out trying to discern how much his financial capacities are, he's wasting state resources without an appointment. And this court is the party that appoints an attorney, not DPA, whatever division, just because they think he's going to need one.
Would you like to respond to that, Mr. Miller?
Your Honor, in cases like this, it is essential that a defense investigation start immediately, and I haven't solicited anything, but advised Mr. Steins of his rights, and if the court appoints us, we will represent him.
Is he still the sheriff of Leslie County?
At this point, I believe so. Letcher County.
Letcher County, I'm sorry.
Judge, I can't speak to that, and he currently is still the sheriff of Letcher County.
Yeah, well, I don't think he would qualify as an indigent defendant.
Sir, we're happy to, or Mr. Steins is happy to put any paperwork, file anything that would help the court make that determination. Obviously, the court is the one that appoints us.
Has he filed an affidavit for indigency?
Not at this point, Your Honor.
All right, we'll proceed with formal arraignment. Are you Sean Steins?
Yes, sir.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can't be used against you. Have your silence can't be used to find you guilty. County attorney must prove your guilt, or the Commonwealth must prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You have the right to call witnesses on your behalf. You have the right to cross-examine witnesses called against you. You have the right to a speedy public trial by a jury of your peers. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, I'll appoint one to represent you. And you have the right to appeal any decision that I make. You're charged with murder, a capital offense here in Kentucky, a Class A felony, punishable by 20 to 50 years in prison, 25 years to life in prison, 25 years to life without the possibility of parole, and the possibility of the death penalty. Do you have an attorney, Mr. Steins?
I have not hired one.
Have you tried to hire an attorney? Have you spoken to any attorneys about taking your case?
No, sir.
And are you telling me that you don't have the means to, do you not have the means? Do you own a home?
Yes.
Do you own any other real estate?
Got a place in Tennessee, but I still owe for it with the bank.
Yet, you know how much equity you have in your own home?
My home and my property is paid for.
And do you have an estimated value of that real property?
I think the PBA's got it on for about $45,000.
And what's your income?
It's based on statute. I think this year it's going to be 115,000.
Do you have a month savings, bank account?
I had a check-ins. Sir, it's my understanding that he's in the process of losing his job as a sheriff of Letcher County, obviously, and will not have income going forward. His family is not prepared for this eventuality. And again, I think the cost of defending one of these cases can reach well into the several $100,000.
Very interesting. No emotion.
You're entitled, since you're charged with a felony, you're entitled to have a preliminary hearing within 10 days from the date of this arraignment. Do you believe you'll be able to obtain counsel to represent you on these charges within those 10 days?
Well, there you guys go. Let me get out of this real quick because I think this is going to be another. I'm going to stop it there.
Yeah, it'll be another commercial. So,
But what? Go ahead, Tammy.
okay, I'm sorry. So basically, what they're saying is he's still sheriff. He's not been fired, terminated yet. So he still has income until they terminate him. So he's caught between a rock and a hard place, and they're trying to say, well, do you have a house you can sell? Do you have this? Do you have that?
That's for
Because
collateral.
Trump
Just
is
for
but here's the kick. They don't think about, okay, his wife and kids have to have somewhere to live. This man has children still at home. And I think in the video, you see him thinking a lot and trying to listen and trying to figure out what he should and shouldn't say because he's unrepresentative right now.
Right. Well, that I get it. I
Even
get it.
doing the arraignment, I don't think so, kind of.
Yeah, I get it. But the problem is, even with that right there in that video, you can see there's, unless has a different way of showing emotions. But man, oh man, some serious stuff coming down on this guy's shoulders, And
it looks like he's taking it serious. I mean, but
usually people, they're a mess in there, and they're all nervous. And I get it though. But yeah,
but he's a cop.
Welcome in, Trey.
I think he comes from a background of having to remain stoic during very stressful
I agree.
time. So maybe he's still in shock too. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Right. Well, this is just more proof in the pudding, ladies and gentlemen, of what I've been saying for how long, what Tammy's, been saying, and of course, all of you and others. It's just more proof in the pudding that, the corruption and the behind the scenes stuff that the public doesn't know happens a lot more than you guys realize. It really does. I mean, this is something that's unheard of in a sense, and you wouldn't think that a sheriff who's supposed to what's on their cars, serve and protect. And keep our society as a whole safe. But then yet you get the same guy that's supposed to be looked at as a hero going behind the scenes, if you will, and taking somebody's life. Now keep in mind, I don't condone any of that kind of activity whatsoever. Whether he
had what he thought was a legitimate reason or not. That was obviously not the way to handle it. And now he's going to suffer the consequences of his action, whether it be vigilante.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say that's almost like vigilante type work. Right. Because even though he's a law enforcement or sheriff's officer, he obviously doesn't believe in some laws, and now he went ahead and took the laws, if you will, in his own hand and did his own justice instead of doing it through the courts, doing it through this, doing it through that. No, you would think with his training and whatnot, he wouldn't stoop down to that level, but he did. And here we are.
Trey, yes, it was the judge. He was a bailiff for this particular judge. This is a case out of Kentucky, and he ended up becoming sheriff, and they were actually friends. So I don't really know. It's a really deep case, and this is gonna be an eye opener for this country. This case alone is gonna set some precedents for some stuff.
This will be another, what would you call it? Another history making moment in our country. Texas Mom, real quick before we go into the other more data, guys. Texas Mom says this in the chat. Trey, the judge he worked for, who is also his brother-in-law. Yep. So, and then Curtis says, without a shadow of doubt. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Because again, guys, you have to take into account, I don't care if you're a sheriff. I don't care if you're a judge. We all have certain things as a citizen out here that we have to follow. If we get hooked up with some type of case, or get hemmed up, I should say, with some type of case, we have to go through all the proper channels and play the damn kangaroo court game. Well, how come the sheriff didn't do that? Right? How come the judge doesn't do that? You see how deep this goes, guys? It's proof in the pudding, if you will, that certain people, because of certain power and certain amount of money, they get away with this crap because they just can. We can't.
And on the other devil's advocate side, this is another thing I was thinking about today with it all too. This shows that anybody
can't trust nobody.
Anyone, P. Diddy, and this shows that anybody can be on the other side of those bars at any given time in their life by making one stupid decision. You're always one dumb or stupid decision away from prison in your life. Every single one of us. Is that not true?
No, it is. But man,
it's sad. It's sad.
And Curtis Vicky just said true, and of course Curtis got in here and said the same thing. True. It is very true. When is this kind of shit? Excuse my French, guys. I apologize. When is this stuff going to end? What's it going to take to make us realize and educate ourselves and wake up and realize that some of our big players, judges, sheriffs, politicians, you name it, whoever they are,
all the way to the White House.
Exactly. They think they're above everything. They can get away with everything. And we sit here and we have to suffer. We have to take the shitty end of the stick every time something happens to us. It's that old saying, laws for me, but not for thee.
It reminds me of when we had our parents and they say, you're going to do it because I said so.
Oh yeah.
And they were cussing and doing something stupid. And if you did it, you got your mouth knocked out, but they were okay that they could do it,
or they force you to go outside and pick a switch.
Yeah, I know that one. And get a green one. Don't you bring in no dry switch. You better bring in one of those green ones.
Green ones are better.
Yeah,
they hurt worse.
The welts.
I remember those. I remember those days.
Oh yeah.
But now you can't do that today, Tammy, because then that would be considered abuse. Curtis said this, or something said to the wrong persons. Yeah, I get it. And again, you're right. And what I don't get is, I'll say this. If, again, we don't know for certainty here, guys, if this actually was happening, common sense tells me, okay, hey, I gotta get the authorities involved. Tammy, what would you do if you got wind of this? Would you pick up a pew pew?
Oh no, but here's what I'm trying to figure out. They are putting both of these men on pedestals, like they are saying they were front runners. Exactly, Texas Mom. Exactly. They put them up there, and I want to play the next video in a minute because
Yep, we'll get
it'll
right
give
there.
us all insight as to some of their character and what they're saying these men were like. What
Yeah.
was it that was so dark and deep that divided them?
Yeah.
What was it? And they were friends. The prosecutor and the head prosecutor, the head DA, and the judge were brother-in-laws.
Yeah.
They were the brother-in-laws. But
So let's go ahead.
the sheriff and the judge were friends, and all of them were friends actually.
Mhm.
But he did the right thing in getting rid of that that deputy. He didn't like put him on administrative leave while it was pending. He got rid of him.
Mhm.
So there had to be some pretty overwhelming evidence of what that guy did, the deputy. So okay, go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're good, Tam. I love it because everybody's on fire. Everybody's on the same page. A lot of this stuff to me, because of who I am, what I do, it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
There's no
and this
excuse.
video is like an 11-minute video, guys. I'm sorry it's a little bit longer, but we really got to hear it because this is the county clerk
Yeah.
that she's going to be talking to.
Yeah.
And this is News Nation, I think.
Yeah, and again, all credit what's not goes to News Nation for putting this on. Thank you, News Nation. I appreciate you guys over there. Again, all information in the description of the video tonight, guys. If you missed anything, go click it and look at it in your own time. But anyways, this is important information. Let's go ahead and play it, and then we'll come back in the chat and open this up for all of you to put your comments, thoughts, and opinions into this, as always. And of course, then we're going to have our closing arguments and all that, and let you know what's coming down the pike for Friday. That's if I can be on Friday due to this weather
Yeah,
event.
we're
All right.
praying.
Well, with that being said, let's go ahead and play the video. And again, here's News Nation's podcast.
I want to bring in Mike Watts. He is the Letcher County Circuit Court Clerk, and he has known both Judge Mullins and Sheriff Steins for years and considered both men a friend. This is such an incredibly tragic story and so confusing. Mike, thank you for joining me tonight, and I am so sorry for your loss and what your community is going through right now. Can you walk us through the day and the hours leading up to this shooting about what these two men did?
I have no information at all about what occurred or why it occurred. I know our county is devastated. We've lost 2 county officials, personal friends of mine for years. I've worked with both men closely throughout their careers.
Was there any animosity? Was there any acrimony? Was there anything that you knew about that did not seem right about the relationship between these two men?
None at all. None that I knew of. I didn't know of anything.
So, Mike, I just detailed that there had been this deposition that the sheriff had sat for about this terrible crime that one of the sheriff's deputies had pleaded guilty to, and that potentially the judge had some information. Does any of this comport with your knowledge of maybe some consternation between the sheriff and the judge because this lawsuit was ongoing?
Not that I know of. No.
All right, so listen up. State
Sorry, guys,
Farm
I can't
was
control
trying to
this.
charge me $197 for car
Yeah,
insurance.
sorry about that.
I know both.
So the
both
sheriff
men.
didn't. Go ahead.
I know both men personally. That they didn't. Either one told me anything that they had a problem with the other. That anything was going on. Both of them has been good for our county and community. The whole county is just devastated over it. Both men have been active
And
in the community.
Is the whole county, including you, completely confounded by how or why this happened?
Of course, yes.
Nobody has a clue.
No one has a clue that I know of. We just, we're all like everyone else. We're just, would like to.
The local paper, I'm sorry, we've got some crosstalk because of a delay, but I need to ask you, the local paper said that there's video in the judge's office, perhaps even in chambers, because the local paper says the video shows what happened. And I just laid out that both men looked at their phones right before the shooting, and that the sheriff came around Judge Mullins' desk and opened fire 8 times. Is that accurate? Do you know of the video showing this?
I know of the video. I've not seen the video. I'm not sure what it showed.
Have you discussed the video and the contents of the video with anybody else, court employees, witnesses, anyone else who could corroborate that, yes, indeed, that is what happened?
That's my understanding.
So just to be clear, it is your understanding that that is exactly what played out. What the local paper is reporting is shown on a video. You're telling me tonight that that series of events, in your understanding, did play out like that?
Some of it did, I think. I think, from my understanding, Judge Mullins handed the sheriff his phone. The sheriff looked at both phones. He had 2 phones one phone in each hand. He reviewed the phones. He laid the judge's phone back down and then stood up.
They had been seated prior to that when this phone exchange happened?
Yes.
And was there an audible argument? Was there yelling? There was some reporting yesterday that they had been arguing. Is that what happened, or was it all quiet?
I don't know. I couldn't answer that. I do not know. The Kentucky State Police is investigating the crime. We all were looking for answers. I've not only lost a county judge, our district judge, but our county sheriff and 2 personal friends.
Was the door to chambers open to the staffers in the anteroom?
No.
Did those staffers who were in the outside room, outside of chambers, did they report hearing anything prior to the shots?
No argument. No.
And what about just conversation? Was there a normal conversation in normal tones prior to the shots?
They couldn't hear. The sheriff walked in and asked whoever was in the chambers that he needed to speak with the judge in private, and the doors were closed.
And they couldn't hear any other conversation after that, even that there was conversation?
No, the next thing they heard is gunshots, I think, and they didn't realize if they were from the outside or if someone had came in or what. They evacuated the building. And then I was informed.
What does the video
I'm not sure.
What does the video show next after the sheriff allegedly fired 8 shots, killing Judge Mullins? What does the video show him doing right after that?
Again, I have not seen the video.
What have you been told it shows?
That he picked up the phone again, the judge's phone, and looked at it and laid it back down and walked out.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's
So
really
after the
weird.
shots were fired, he did not render assistance. He did not check the judge. He picked up the judge's phone off the desk again, looked at it, and then walked out of the office?
From my understanding, again, I've not seen the video.
Interesting stuff, Tammy. What were you going to say before I continue?
No, I just said it's just, there's a few things that bug me about all of it, but we'll talk about it in a minute.
Okay. All right. Here's some more, guys.
What did he say to the people outside the office the moment he came out?
There's no one there, I don't think.
And so where did he walk to after he left chambers?
He exited the courthouse.
He didn't come into contact with anyone in the courthouse until he came outside on the front steps?
He came out a side entrance, turned and walked back in the front entrance.
When he walked back in the front entrance, what happened after that? What was he doing going back into the courthouse?
The first responders were responding. Of course, they probably thought he was there to assist them until he walked
back in the courthouse, back into the courtroom. It's my understanding, and laid his revolver or his pistol down
This sounds premeditated.
one of the tables.
At the very
I
front of the
don't
court.
know.
Is that his service revolver you're saying, or his service pistol?
In the courtroom, he walked back in the courtroom. From my understanding, again, I didn't see the video, so I'm not. It was just my understanding that he walked back in the courtroom and took his pistol out and laid it on one of the attorney tables.
God, it sounds like he planned this in a
And then
sense.
surrendered to.
I don't know. It's whatever was on those phones that triggered it, I think.
That's my understanding.
And can you just tell me again, was it his service pistol or was it his personal weapon?
I do not know.
It would probably most likely be a service one.
Was he in uniform?
He was not.
Was he on duty?
He was on duty 24 hours, 7 days a week. These are both honorable men. These both are honorable. They were elected by the good citizens of Letcher County. They both served admirably in their positions they held. Sheriff Steins fought the drug epidemic with everything he had in he worked 24 hours, 7 days a week. Judge Mullins was a very strong component of, instead of incarcerating individuals, after years being on the bench, he realized that it wasn't working, and he was working along with Sheriff Steins to get people in treatment and give them a second chance.
So, Mike, I'm glad you said that, because one of my big questions has been, because the judge had a different viewpoint on incarcerating people with drug offenses and favored instead rehabilitation, was that a point of contention between the sheriff and the judge, or did they work together in concert on that theory?
They worked together, hand in hand. Sheriff Steins would take them to treatment. He would offer people to come into his office and voluntarily go and not be arrested to treatment.
Do you suspect then that any consternation that may have led to the shooting then is likely from the other issue, and that was what the federal lawsuit was about, and the criminal case with the other bailiff and sheriff's deputy? Is that what you suspect this is then about?
I have no idea. I don't want to speculate. There's two families that's lost loved ones. Our county is devastated by this loss. We're a strong mountain community. We've been through a lot. We had a July 2022 flood that devastated the county. Both men delivered supplies to flood victims. I have no idea what happened.
Mike Watts, I reiterate my condolences to you having lost your friend, and then I am so sorry that you're going through this additional trauma of dealing with whatever it was that may have driven the sheriff to do this. I know it's alleged right now, but my goodness, these facts are troubling. Mr. Watts, thank you. I'm going to call on you again. I do appreciate this tonight.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your screen.
Yeah.
And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.
So there you guys go. There you guys have it, man. Holy crap! I'm gonna come back in the studio.
I don't want to jump to the conclusion of what happened until we all see the evidence of what transpired. But I feel like whatever was on those phones for the both of them, it triggered something. And I have learned over the years that people react differently. I have seen people in courthouses completely break down and go nutty. I have seen people in total shock and act like as if nothing happened to keep everybody else together. And then they break down later once they get their time or whatever. I've seen people laugh and think it's funny. But it's really weird that this county clerk is like, they were such really good, honorable men. What could have driven them so far apart from their they're the description of what he was saying about them giving people second chances. This is what our group has been pushing for. Judges and law enforcement and all of that to come aboard and be part of a solution instead of part of the problem. So at what point, what could have been so dark and sinister that it pulled them apart?
Yeah.
So it's
I don't know.
interesting.
And there's a lot of, like I said in the chat, guys, there's a lot of unanswered questions here. Yeah. It's amazing how all of this is happening. And again, the question is, it should never happen. This should never.
No, he should have, whatever he found out or whatever did, he should have walked himself right up out of there and done whatever, like say if it was something that they were both in trouble for or something one did wrong and the other, they should have went and sought legal counsel, or there's so many other avenues that could have been taken and they knew better. We just don't know all of that, guys. I don't know. But
yeah, no, go ahead, Tim.
Wanda, they don't want second chances. They were given second chances to people like your son. That judge, his record on the books was that he would send them to treatment rather than, like, if, I'm not saying your son particularly, but he would have tried to get to the bottom of why he was in jail and what could be done to rectify the situation without him going to prison.
Yeah.
That's what they were working hand in hand with. And so I'm really curious to find out what that.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
what do they call it, Jay? I can't find the word. What is it? That smoking, pew pew, I guess.
Yeah.
I want to know what it was.
Yeah. Smoking pew pew. Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of, again, when it comes to these big ass people like politicians, sheriffs, judges, you name it, across the board, anything that involves the system or government as a whole. There's a lot of shady, dark ass, excuse my French, guys, secrets involved when you have people in power. I'll never know what that's like to have power and then shove that power down everybody's throat and think that you're, king dingaling. I cannot for the life of me imagine, even if I was granted this power, I wouldn't want it, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
because again, now, let's say for shits and giggles, if I did get the power, what I would do with it would be something positive, nothing negative, because I don't let that crap go to my head anyways. But you can clearly see here, guys, tonight in this podcast, ladies and gentlemen, and in the video content, that power goes to people's heads. And they literally let that run their life. And it's a disgrace. And we, the taxpayers, unfortunately pay that. And their blood is now on our hands too. Imagine that, Tammy.
Yeah, and this is the thing. So here's the problem with social media, guys. I'm seeing the comments and things like that. Yes, there are rumors about the sheriff's daughter and the judge.
Rumors.
I've not seen anybody
keep that in mind. Rumors.
Show proof, evidence, legitimate evidence of that. It started as rumors in the rumor mill. You remember that game that we played in school, telephone? One person said it and it went around. By the time it came back around, it was a whole different story. Yeah. So all those things, unless I see for my own eyes, my opinion, just mine, not speaking for anybody else, unless I see definitive proof with any person.
Correct,
no
Trey Stone.
Where they're from or where they sit, how low or how high, I can't do it. I can't pass judgment on somebody else. It's not my job.
No, it's not until, again, like Tammy just said, like me, I'm all about hardcore facts and evidence and receipts.
Yep.
I got to see that stuff before I got to see that stuff before I say anything, because I hate to speculate. And that's where we stand on it right now. But anyways, hey, Rose, I didn't see you in here until just now. Again, everything's time delayed, but welcome, Rose. How you doing? Thank you so much for being here. She said this, hey, all just finished up a bush walk in Australia. Hey, that sounds like fun. Oh, well, I'm glad you're doing good anyways with all that. let's go ahead and say, find out what Trey said. I'm not, yeah, he already read that one. Sorry, my bad. And then Vicky said this. I agree, Tin Man, absolutely. And then Rose said this. The system is classic or classist. It punishes the poor. Absolutely. All day, every day. I agree. Tin Man said this real quick, guys, and then we're going to go ahead and do our closing, and then I'm going to update you guys with my weather situation over here in my neck of the woods. Anyways, Tin Man said this: my father-in-law is a correct motor carrier inspector. Oh, that sounds like fun. For Johnson County, Kansas. He takes drugs off trucks and gives it to his son to sell from Pizza Hut. I'm a firsthand witness to this and this. Wow.
Well, my advice, I'll give you a direct link how to end that. If he's doing that, you don't call the FBI. You don't call anybody in that county. You don't call anybody in that state. Who you call is DEA. My father did it. He turned in his whole police department, and they were arrested. They went to prison and they served time. And that's what happens. You have to call the right entity. So once again, that's the DEA. Get a hold of the DEA, Drug Enforcement Agency, with the U.S. government. They handle county, state, city, federal people who take and confiscate materials for their job and resell them and use them. That is also some pretty heavy charges: distribution, theft, fraud upon the government, racketeering. Now I can go on and on and on.
Yeah, I'm still here. I got to go. I'm still here. I just got to go in the back room real quick. So I got to look up something. But Tammy, go ahead with your closing and say whatever you need to say, and then I'll come back. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, like I was saying, Tin Man, that's where you go with that DEA. Have somebody call it in. If you can't call it in to someone else. They will look into it, and they will be vicious about it. There's no holds bar there. Wanda, I hope you're safe out there with all the weather.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
I'm still here. Just give me a
anytime,
second.
Wanda. Just know that sometimes I'm on the phone with the hubs, so sometimes I don't answer, but I'll always call you back if you need to call me. I understand not getting the marbles together. Mine are more like pool balls, and they're bouncing off of each other all the time.
Fair enough. Just give me a second. I'll come back in here. Just a sec, guys.
Okay,
go ahead, Tammy.
You're good. And then let me see. There was somebody else that said something that I wanted to touch upon. That really good.
Trying to figure out how I can do this.
Trey Stone, he said, I'm not condemning a suspect, but we're not suppressed by the humanity of the system. A system that is unjust, racist, corrupt, because people run it. Yes, I mean, everything humans touch, they ruin. I mean, sorry to say that, but it's true. I think the animals would do much better ruling everything. Yeah, it's my opinion. But Trey, you're right in that. But we have to be above it all. We as a group, as a team, as an effort to push and want better, we have to expect better, but we also have to see the example to rise above what has suppressed us all down.
Correct.
That's just my opinion now, and I'm not saying it to you directly. I'm just saying in just all together.
Correct.
Tin Man asked about somebody, and I want to touch on it a little bit.
Sure, go ahead.
Cadillac's not in here. I wish she was. Maybe she would have come up, but I don't see her in here anyway. Cadillac, if you are, I'm reaching out to you, girl. Tin Man asked, Tammy, did you hear about the innocent man who was executed in Missouri? You were talking about Marcellus Williams. Go ahead, Jay. Take it on.
Okay, I did, and unfortunately, as Tin Man said here, guys, I hope you guys can hear me. I got a lot going on in my studio right now, so bear with me. Right now, he's actually been unalived. He's no longer with us, and that's the bad news. I guess there is some good news or some light at the end of this. both the prosecution side and the good side, which is the state side, or excuse me, the defense side. My bad, guys. Were in agreement with both parties. Were in agreement that he actually was innocent. That's the good news. See, there was evidence and DNA to back up his situation to hold off on this execution.
And still, until we start holding these governors and
Again,
it
pisses me off.
The highest level that let that order go through, that said hit that needle in the arm like that, until those people are held accountable, how they can put their head on a pillow at night and sleep knowing that they were responsible for somebody who is innocent being unalived.
What gets me is they knew this evidence existed. They knew this shit was here, guys, and they did it anyways. And all right, I'm going to shut up.
Yeah, it's what somebody else would be charged for a capital offense.
Yeah.
And until that happens, until they have those consequences for putting somebody to unalive them, the judges that put that mallet down and give that order, the jury members who give that order, because what's presented by the prosecution is not true. They have not investigated once. This is what gets me. When they find a target, they hone in on that person and they never look for anybody else.
Well,
that's shitty police work. That's shitty investigating.
And I do everything on this podcast from a professional level anyways, even if there doesn't seem to be any. And I do what I can, guys, to try to keep my composure. There's so much things that I have in the bottom of the pit of my gut that I want to say.
Tim, and the reason that they can't, the prison can't refuse is because prison's job, their only job is to maintain the person in the prison. They're not supposed to be judge, jury, or involved in their legal matters whatsoever. They're just there to contain the person in the prison. So their orders come down from a higher place.
The question that and I can't remember where I found it. There's a question. Now, can the family sue for wrongful death? Absolutely. This is a wrongful death, knowing that they got the evidence to back up their claim. I highly suggest they file a lawsuit. There's no amount of money, guys, that's going to bring back this guy's life.
Nope.
This is what I get so pissed off about.
His friend is the one that lied about him. You know that, right? His friend lied and said that he did this crime. And years later, he comes back and retracts his statement because he felt guilty. And he's scared of the person that really did it.
I usually don't. I'm usually not silent.
Yeah.
And I think we need to do a show on that, Tammy, for Friday, I think.
Yeah, we can. Absolutely. We can see if Cadillac even come on, maybe.
Because the reason why, again, guys, the reason why I say that is because I think his life needs to be honored.
I'm going to ask her if it's okay with you. I'll ask Cadillac. She'll come up with us.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll have her up on the podcast. Absolutely. I follow her. Me and her collab every now and then. So yeah, absolutely.
Let's see if we can get her up with us. I think so.
And guys, I'm going to give you guys an update real quick before we get out of here. And then when we're done with that, I'm going to give you guys my closing arguments. And then we're going to go ahead and say goodnight for tonight. And I appreciate every single one of you guys being in here. I love and respect every single one of you. But I got to show you guys so you guys can just see firsthand what we're dealing with. So let me get that set up real quick. Bear with me, guys. So what I got here, a lot of questions and a little bit of confusion, whatnot going on with Hurricane Helene. All right. She's now a category, or soon will be a category 2, if not already. By the time she gets land over here where the red is in the Big Bend area of Florida, guys, she's probably going to be close to a category 4, if not a 4, when she hits land in this cone area. Okay. I hope you guys can see is where my pointer's at. We live about right in here somewhere. Okay, we're right here. I'm about an hour or so away from Mobile, Alabama. So if you stop and think about it, right here is where I'm at, guys, just for your guys' viewing. So look how far away we are from the cone. We are going to get outer bands, we're going to get some rain, and we're going to get some wind, but nothing damaging that will probably knock out our power or not. But I'm saying we're going to get cells and some storms and the outer bands that come around. But this is called the clean side of the hurricane. Over here, guys, is called the dirty side of the hurricane. And just for you guys as well knowing, I got a friend that lives in Ocala, and she's going to get hit, and Tallahassee's going to get hit.
All
But
those
other than
college kids in Tallahassee too, guys.
yeah, so everybody in the cone is going to get hit by this possible Category 4, Cat 4 hurricane. Just for you guys' knowledge and information. All right, so I'm out of the bad part of it, but I'm on the clean side. We can still get some stuff. All right, so there's your update for that storm. It's basically a Category 2. If not, it will be later tonight. It'll be Category 3 by the time tomorrow hits, and it'll be a Category 4 by the time it makes land. That's how strong it's getting. But it brewed down here next to Cuba. That's where it came from. All right, with that being said, let's go back to the studio, guys. That's the update I have for you. But my closing arguments is this, guys. We're going to continue. Unfortunately, we're going to continue, guys, to see this type of activity going on in our system as a whole. I've said this corruption is deeper than you guys realize. It's a major, major rabbit hole, and there's no end to it. The only way, guys, that we're ever going to fix this or change this is that we need, people to stand up and be on the same page. I can't stress this enough.
Crumbling. I think the foundation is crumbling.
I think we might even be too late to
even. Going to fall.
I think
we're going there. I think it's happening.
I agree. I think it's getting to the point where it's getting too late to even try to do anything or put a dent in this. But we got to start somewhere. If not, it's just wasting my time and breath. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and get into the chat real quick before we go. Texas Mom said the poor wives. Yeah, absolutely. Trace said this, a honor of the dishonored episode. Yeah, that would be interesting. Yeah. Texas said, prayers for all of you facing bad weather. Absolutely. And then Wanda said this, my egg donor's son is in Sanford. I wonder if they're going to get it bad. I'm not sure exactly where that's at. I'm hoping not, but hey, it is what it is.
They're going to get a lot of rain and all of that from it.
Yeah.
I don't know that they'll get it bad. We'll see.
Our co-host Tammy said this, prayers for Florida and all states that this hurricane hits. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Tammy, for that. And then Vicky said, praying for you all. Thank you, Vicky. I appreciate you that. Good night, lovelies, Texas Mom said. And Vicky said this too. Good night, all. Absolutely. Good night, Vicky. Thank you again so much for being here. I appreciate you more than you know. And that includes everybody in the chat. Texas Mom, stop the hate. Absolutely. I don't actually have it. Actually, it's in the wash. It's not hanging. I wear too much. Anyways, that Tin Man said, well, the real advocate, please stand up. Yeah, no kidding. And we need to see more of that. Thank you, Tin Man. Absolutely. Thank you. All right. Tin Man said, at least this is finally coming to light. Absolutely. It is. Everything is. It's overwhelming. Wanda said, night, everyone. Love you. Hope everyone stays safe. Absolutely. Well, Tammy, anything else you want to add before we bounce? Thank you, guys.
Just know that I love and respect all of you. We may not always have the same opinion on the same topic, but that's what we're here for. We don't always all have to agree. What we all do know is that something was wrong and the water's not right, and the mud will come out. It will surface, and we will find out.
Yep.
But most importantly, Jay, I want you to be safe, and you and your family, and prayers to everybody out there, all of you, the ones we know that need the help and everything right now.
Thank you. Thank you, Tammy. All right. With that being said, we're going to have to bounce out of here. Love and respect every single one of you guys. Of course, as the days go by, I will keep you guys updated on what happens here. As you guys know, weather changes like I change my underwear. So, things do happen and changes quickly. But I'll keep you guys updated nonetheless through my community tab on YouTube and other places that I belong to. All right, with that said, we're going to go ahead and bounce out of here. I will see you guys Friday, but keep in mind, depending on the weather and if I have power or not, just saying, I might not be able to do Friday's night's man's night. But if everything is okay, we'll see you Friday. Tammy, much love and respect. Thank you for being here.
You too. Bye, guys.
All right, take care. Peace. Bye. Good night, guys.